I'm Tommy Gibbs, and thanks for taking time to watch this video. This video is a result of a newsletter I wrote about a week or so ago, talking about the fact that a lot of dealers are concerned about what to do with their used car inventory. It's starting to stack up on them. Some of them already had some age stuff. And the question that really prompted all that was that a dealer was saying, should I take this stuff to the auction and dump it? And my suggestion was probably not. You'd be better off, if anything, to write it down and try to retail your way out of it. You're always better off retailing cars. So a lot of dealers asked for a spreadsheet that I mentioned to them that they could use to try to figure out what the used car inventory was worth by writing it down and blah, blah, blah. And the one that I sent the dealers that requested it was orange in color. You'll notice this one is in green. If you're thinking about doing this, and you really should do this, by the way, this is an excellent exercise for you to do that will show you how much better off you probably are to try to retail your stuff than dump it in the wholesale market. And so the first thing you'll need to do if you're going to go through the exercise is look over here and make sure you put today's date in here. This is going to reflect life cycle when we get down here to the far right hand side. So you make sure you put the correct date in here. Don't just use a spreadsheet I send you because it may have a date in it. Put in your average F&I income and your doc fees, whatever they may be. If you have any other fees that you're adding in there, you can add those in here someplace. But I just use $900 and $495 to kind of keep that in line. The first thing that will happen is you go over and you're going to put the stock number, and I'm going to put on this one. Stock number is P3455. The model of this is going to be a Toyota, just for the grins and giggles here. This was a purchase unit. Why does it want to do that? Hang tight. Let me get that out of there. Hang on. It's a purchase unit. The age of this vehicle is 85 days. The current ACV on it, we're going to say that with repairs and everything, we got $30,000 in this vehicle. We're going to go and reappraise this vehicle and try to figure out in our heads using whatever data you have to reappraise this vehicle and think about it as if you were buying this car today or if you would have dumped this car in the wholesale market today. So I'm going to pretend that this vehicle is worth $27,000. And that's probably a stretch on that car, but we'll just say it's worth $27,000. So the write down or the loss is $3,000. So if we took it to the auction, we'd lose $3,000. If we're going to write this vehicle down, we'd write it down by $3,000. And yes, if you decide to write it down, you're going to eat it at some place down the road, no doubt. Worst case retail scenario, I'm not going to be greedy here. I'm going to pretend, okay, we're on the money. We're trying to move some units out. It's kind of an expensive vehicle. So I'm going to say that we could retail for $27,500. Now, I want you to tell me why you still have this unit. This is a good drill for you to go through. And we're going to say overpaid at auction. Whatever you want to put in, or you can put nothing in for that matter. Now, since this vehicle is now been reappraised, we're going to pretend that it's 1 day old. You're not going to change your accounting side, but for this sheet, we're going to say, okay, it's 1 day old. And on this particular car, since it came from an auction, if you're using my life cycle management processes, which you should be, we would not give an auction purchase car, in most cases, a full life cycle of 60 days. We're only going to give it 45. So we give it 45. And it then gives us the expiration date and how many days we have left to go. Now this will change. If you activate this sheet and keep it, this is going to change each day. The countdown will keep coming down to 44 and 43 and so on. I'm going to put one more car in here. And we'll say it's P2321. It's a Honda. And this was also a purchase. And we're going to pretend this one's only 75 days old. We've got $22,000 in this vehicle. And we're going to adjust the ACV to, let's say, again, I think we'll be okay at $19,000. So we got a $3,000 write down. Again, we upside down by $3,000 on this car. We're going to pretend that we could retail it. Worst case scenario, I'm going to go again with just a $500 profit for the heck of it. We're going to put bad color. I don't know why you buy a bad color, but you might. And on this car, again, because it came from an auction, I'm only going to give this one 45 as well. Now, here's what I want you to look at up here. Here's the way the numbers are starting to accumulate, and here's why you need to go through this drill. Right at the top, we're showing the total write-down right here of $6,000. That's what you're going to have to write down. That's what you'd lose if you went to the auction, right? Your retail gross on this car, if you add the gross all back up, you're going to actually lose $2,210 on those two cars because you're now going to be retailing those cars at some number. So it's still not a good thing, but here's the deal. You're $3,790 better off in terms of your bottom line, your cash, however you want to think about it, by figuring out a way to retail this car versus dumping it in the market. Yeah, we're writing it down, and we call this bogus gross because it's not true gross because you wrote it down. But when we take the F&I and the dock fees and add it back in, you're so much better off by adjusting these cars, writing them down, or retail them. You don't even have to adjust them really. Just retailing a car, you're always better off. You know all the reasons you're better off to retail a car. So my selling point here today is, in most cases, it's not an absolute. You're far better off to take your inventory, write it down, retail it at some number than you are to take it to the auctions and dump it. I agree, there's always that exception. There's that car that maybe you need to unload, but by and large, you're better off. I'm Tommy Gibbs. If I can help you, please reach out. Thanks and have a great day.